Good morning, Statesville Middle School. Welcome to August the 12th, 2019. Today is an A day, and you should be in your 7A Bulldog class. That's the same Bulldog that you've been going to. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, if Shaylin Mejia and LaDamian Parker are on campus and in a classroom, please have these students report to Ms. Hodges' room. That is A7 on the 8th grade hall. Thank you. Students, just a reminder, volleyball tryouts start on today and will run through Thursday. That will be from 3:30 to 5:30. You must have your physical and concussion form up to date and in the system before you can participate in tryouts. At this time, we're going to show our Ron Clark Academy videos.
House Wars. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, 4 houses formed to create a powerful school culture for students and staff alike. Each house has unique history and symbolism that will bond us together as a family and create positive competition. A championship will be won for brag rights, and the house colors will reign over the school. The house chooses you. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Hi, my name's Andy.
And my name's Julia, and we're proud to be members of the Blue House of Revere.
Revere is a French word that means dreamer, and the students in our house have big dreams, big goals, and the determination to make those dreams and goals become a reality.
Students here at Revere tend to be competitive, passionate, and goal-oriented. And at times, their artistic side can lead them to have their head in the stars.
As you look here on the class, you can notice that the helmet is facing forward. This indicates that the students in Revere will let nothing stand in between them and their dreams and goals.
The main symbol of Revere is the crescent moon. As you may notice, it prominently appears twice on our crest.
The main symbolic animal for Revere is the unicorn, shown here on the crest.
The unicorn is a powerful and beautiful creature that is almost always impossible to tame. It is said that a unicorn's tear can cure any pain or problem, and when one of Revere's students uses their passion in the right way, they too can have that power.
Revere's secondary symbolic animal is the wolf.
The wolf is a symbol of freedom, competitive nature, and wild abandon. And when there's a full moon, the greatest spirit inside of a Revere member is the wolf spirit. Every house has their own traditional cheer. For Revere, it goes like this. Hey, 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 hey. Roo, hey, roo, roo, Revere, 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 it's a blue house. Revere, it's a blue house. Revere, it's the blue house. It's the blue house. Also, if anyone in the house shouts R-E-V, the rest of the house responds with R-E-V-E-U-R. R-E-V! R-E-V-E-U-R.
So I hope you learned a lot about Ron Clark houses, and we will be implementing this on this year. Revere's dance it's okay. You'll see the better one later on this week. So at this time, what we will do is continue to go over the Statesville Middle School handbook. So take out your agenda book, and we ended on page 8 on Friday, and we will go through the rest of the student edition or part of the handbook. So I'll give you a second to take out your agenda book, turn to page 8, have out a pen, pencil, or highlighter for things that we need to underline or that we need to understand clearly. Okay, so student discipline under student behavior expectations. Every student should strive to be considerate of others. That's just the golden rule. You treat people the way that you want to be treated. So if you want to be respected, you should give respect. Even when you feel disrespected, it is always going to be better to be respectful. In the bold underline, bulldogs are accountable, respectful, and kind. This is our bark matrix, and we will go through that in more detail here in a few minutes. These are our school-wide expectations. There may be additional expectations within each classroom. Each classroom runs differently, so the expectations set out by your individual teacher should be followed as well in the classrooms. All right, so adult school employees, all of the adult employees, every single adult in this building of Statesville Middle School have the responsibility to the school. And in order to carry out these responsibilities, they have the authority to correct students when the need arises. I need you to underline, highlight, or circle that. They have the authority to correct students when the need arises, regardless of if a teacher is your specific teacher or not. If they ask you to do something or to stop doing something, there's nothing to say back. It's yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. If any student is corrected by any adult employee, the student is expected to accept such correction without question. And no adult is going to ask you to do anything that is harmful to you or that is not within the expectations of the school. Statesville Middle School does not stand for or tolerate bullying of any kind. Please become familiar with the bullying policy that we follow, and we're going to go through that policy right now. In the bullying policy, I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm going to pick out the main points. So in the first line where it says promote and maintain a healthy, safe, orderly, and caring learning environment, that's our responsibility as citizens of Statesville Middle School. That is everybody's responsibilities, from the teachers, students, custodians, and even office staff. We all have the responsibility of maintaining a positive environment for everybody. This should be an environment that is free from bullying and is inclusive of all students and employees. Inclusive means including everybody. And then the next line, the policy includes but is not limited to the following types of acts: bullying based on individuals' race, color, sex, religion, creed, ethnicity, political belief, age, national origin, linguistic and language differences, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, socioeconomic status, physical characteristics, marital status, or disability. We don't single out or make fun of people for any reason. It's not necessary, it's mean, and we are not going to tolerate it. So if you go down to where the number parts are, where it says, therefore, this policy will apply, including but not limited to the following circumstances. First, you cannot bully while in any school building or on any school premises before, during, or after school hours. This includes games or after school dances or events of any kind, or before school when you're in the gym or cafeteria. You cannot bully while on any bus or other vehicle as a part of a school activity. So in your transportation to and from school, bullying is not tolerated. While waiting at any bus stop, so in the mornings as you wait for your bus, or in the afternoons when you get off of the bus, that's not the place for it either. And number 4, during any school function, extracurricular activity, or other activity or event, bullying is not tolerated. Turn to page 9. Number 5, when subject to the authority of school personnel. So if you go on a trip, for example, last year, 8th grade, we went to Washington, D.C. We have the authority, you are under school authority anytime you are with school personnel for any reason. If you have like a sports banquet, same type of situation. And then number 6, no bullying any time or place when the behavior has a direct and immediate effect on maintaining order and discipline in the schools. So while social media is real popular right now, if you bully on social media and it runs over into school, we have the responsibility to make sure that if it affects here at school, that we step in and we do what we need to do. So even though if it's done at home on social media, if it comes over into school, we need to step in, and we will. All right, so we need to understand the definition of bullying, because sometimes we get, just because somebody's mean to us, we can think that that's bullying. But sometimes people are just rude or they're just mean. But bullying, and under the definition, underline intentional. Intentional is a purposeful or hurtful act or behavior. So if somebody walks by you and you bump into each other and it was an accident, that is not bullying. It was an accident. The next word is imbalanced. Underline imbalanced. Imbalance of power is when people are ganging up, racial, age, name-calling, gender, or size. So imbalanced is when one person has a higher standing over another one. And that's usually what bullies are trying to go for. And then the third word is repeated. The intentional behavior is repeated over time. So when somebody does something mean or says something mean to you first time and you confront it and you ask them to stop, if they continue and you go to adults and they continue, then that is definitely bullying, and that is not tolerated, and it will be handled accordingly. Okay, so different categories of bullying behavior. The first is physical, which can be hitting, punching, pinching, or any other physical acts, pulling hair, and other things. Verbal is direct insults or put downs, name calling, or threats. The fourth one is social or relational aggression, spreading rumors, lies, or lies about someone to damage their reputation or to punish them socially. And even if you tell somebody to not be friends with somebody else just because you don't like them, that's alienating somebody, and that's not right. And then the last one is sexual harassment, which is continued unwanted attention of a sexual nature. All right, so now let's talk about social media and cyberbullying. If you look down to kind of towards the end of that first bullet in the third line, it says to have a direct and immediate impact on the orderly and efficient operation of the schools or the safety of individuals in the school environment. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Even if you do your social media meanness at home, if it comes over and is a direct and immediate impact on the orderly and efficient operation of schools, then I step in. So just don't stop being mean. Don't be mean. And kids, let's talk about social media just for a second. If you are not friends with somebody in real life, why would you want to be friends with them on social media? Unfriend people who are not really your friends. Just because somebody sends you a friend request doesn't mean they really want to be your friend. So take a hard look at who you have on your friends and in your Snapchat and in whatever the new craze is for social media, and take a look, and if you don't know them, unfriend them. If you don't get along with them, unfriend them, because that will cut down on a whole lot of drama that is in your life. And then if you have friends who are friends with them and they come chattering in your ear about what so-and-so posted, probably need to unfriend them too, because they're trying to get drama started so they can see a show. So I'll stop on that. Okay, so how to report a bully. You can let an adult know if there are students in your classes who are bothering you or who won't leave you alone. Please let an adult know so that they can step in and help make sure that things stop. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can come up to the office. You can see Miss Lacey, you can see Miss Mayberry, Mr. Wellman, or myself, or anybody in the office to let us know that something's going on so that we can help. There is also an online bully report. If you look in that first bullet under how to report a bully, there's a website on our main web page, our Statesville Middle School web page, where you can go and click and enter the information, and it comes directly to me, and I can read through and step in. I know a lot of times kids don't want to report a bully because you think it's going to get worse, but is what you're doing making it any better? And typically when an adult steps in and confronts the other student, usually the behavior stops. Not always, but usually it does. And if it continues, I need you to continue to let an adult know so that we can go to our next step in discipline. Okay, so now consequences or responsibilities. Individual responses, underline that. Positive, we have positive behavior interventions such as peer mentoring, short-term counseling, life skill groups, and punitive actions. For example, in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension if it calls for it. The next one is classroom responses. These can be classroom discussions, role-playing activities, research projects, observing and discussing audiovisual materials on the subject, skill-building lessons on courtesy, tolerance, assertiveness, and conflict management. Miss Lacey and Miss Mayberry will come through and do a unit on bullying with each grade level, and so that those are things that can come forth at those times. The next bullet is on school-wide responsibilities. We do have theme days, learning station programs. It can be parent programs and information disseminated in school to students and parents. And finally, consequences for students that violate the bullying policy will depend on the severity of the behavior, and parents and students should carefully review the bullying policy. So bullying typically, if it's found to be a true bullying incident, then students can be put into ISS or suspended, and if it continues, then students are sent over to Presley. So let's just not go there. Okay, so next we're going to go over our PBIS school-wide BARC matrix, and BARC stands for Bulldogs are accountable, respectful, and kind. And in this first matrix, I apologize for it being cut off between pages 9 and 10. I'll make sure that next year they're all on one page. But this one we're going to talk about classrooms, hallways, cafeteria, and restroom expectations. So for the BARC matrix, and we're just going to go one column at a time. So the first one we'll talk about our classrooms. So under accountable, on page 9 it says make good decisions for yourself. Highlight that. Make good decisions for yourself in the classroom. So if your peers are acting up and giving the teacher a hard time, a good decision for yourself might be to move to a different seat or to ignore their behavior. You don't want to get caught up in being a negative person at Statesville Middle School. And then the second one is do assigned work. If you complete your work on time and turn it in, there's almost no way that you could make failing grades. So please do your work and turn it in on time as your teachers ask, so that you can make the best grades possible. And under respectful, use appropriate language and volume. Follow directions of staff. If a staff member tells you something and it's different from the normal, please just follow directions and do what you need to do. If there's a sub and they're not doing something exactly the way your teacher does it, please don't give them a hard time. Just do what they ask you to do. And if it comes up, you can explain to your regular teacher what happened. Don't argue with the sub. They have a hard enough job already. Finally, or next, respect personal space and property. Give some elbow room to your neighbors. Don't go through their stuff, and respect other people's stuff just like you want your stuff respected. And then listen to others. Listen to understand, and then to be understood. Under kind, treat others the way you want to be treated. That's the golden rule, and that's what your mom teaches, right? Treat others the way that you want to be treated. And then leave it cleaner, leave the classroom cleaner than you found it. If there's a piece of paper on the floor, it's okay for you to pick up a piece of paper and put it in the trash can. And if you do it, most likely without being asked, you're going to get a ticket or a house point. So let's be clean here. Okay, under hallways, for the A, for accountable, make good decisions for yourself. Well, that's all the first one on all of them. So we're making good decisions for ourselves. On page 10, we can mark off the go to locker only at designated times because we don't have lockers, so we will take that off. Walk on the right side of the hall and keep traffic moving. Don't stop to talk to your friends because you're going to slow somebody else down from getting to class on time. And then we don't have lockers. We're not using lockers, so you can mark off that third one. And being respectful in the hall is use appropriate language and volume. Follow directions of staff. Respect personal space and property. And it should be a quiet zone during class time. So if you're in the halls during class and it's not a class change, you should be respectful of the learning environment in other classrooms, and you shouldn't be loud or screaming or yelling down the hall. That's disrespectful. And then be kind. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Leave it cleaner than you found it. If you see a piece of paper in the hall, well, it looks like all of these repeat. In the hall, cafeteria, and restrooms, it's okay to clean stuff up that you didn't mess up. And then in the cafeteria, stay in your assigned class at lunch line, in the lunch line and lunchroom at your table. You eat at your table. You should not be up roaming around, visiting other tables. Touch and eat only the food on your tray or that you bring in your lunch box. Don't go to other people's tray and take stuff. If somebody's going to share, let them give it to you. Don't take it for yourself. That's rude. And then take only the condiments in which you will use to eat. So the ketchup packets, napkins, and things you take to your table, just take the amount that you need. There should be appropriate language and volume in the cafeteria. And if the cafeteria staff ask you to do something, please be sure to do it. Remember when you're going through the cafeteria lines to keep your volume down, because the ladies need to be able to hear you what you want to eat, but also when you're paying. So make sure that the volume inside the cafeteria line is at an appropriate level. And then for the restrooms, under accountable, use the restroom for the designated purpose, which is to go in the restroom, use it, wash your hands, and come out. There should be no other activity in the restrooms at all. Please flush the toilet when you come out. And then there should not be any writing on the walls. Our custodians have enough work to do. They don't need to clean up graffiti on the walls. Again, appropriate language. If somebody tells you to come out of the restroom, probably because they hear people playing in there, just be respectful and do so. And then treating others the way that you want to be treated. Now let's quickly go through school grounds, bus stop, assemblies, arrivals, and dismissals. The respectful and kind of repeats itself, so I'm just going to go over the accountable pieces. So on school grounds, of course, make good decisions. Stay in the designated area and have a hall pass or agenda at all times. So if you have to leave a classroom, please make sure that you have your agenda, which has a hall pass on each week, that is signed by your teacher so that you have permission to be out of your classroom. We are going to asking teachers, we don't want sticky notes. We have decided as a school that we will use the agenda book. Every student has been given an agenda book, and if you lose your agenda book, you have to have this to get out of class. It will be $5. So just hold on to your agenda book all year long. You will need it. So this needs to be completed not just for the restroom, but to come to the office, to go see another teacher. For any reason to leave the classroom, you should be using your agenda books. The restrooms have a file hanger out in each restroom. Leave this in that hanger so you don't have to take it in the restroom with you. That's gross. Keep cell phones off and out of sight during the school day. This should also be under classroom. Cell phones are not allowed. Headphones, earbuds, not allowed, and they will need to be put away as soon as you walk into the building. So have them away. That way teachers don't have a reason to take them up. If a teacher asks you for your phone, you simply give them your phone, and we talked about this on Friday. You'll get it back depending on how many times they've had to take it from you. So just leave them away until after school, and you should be good. We talked about dress code on Friday. For bus and bus stops, follow the Iredell Statesville Bus Code of Conduct. Just sit in your seat, talk to the people in your seat or close by, and ride to school and to home. So buses don't have to return and bring you back. We don't want that. Be in your assigned seat. Stay seated while the bus is moving. Keep your body parts and objects inside the bus. And keep the bus seats free of graffiti, and also any trash you have on the bus, make sure that it gets into the trash can. For assemblies, walk to your assigned seating area, stay with your assigned class, listen during the assembly and pay attention and be respectful. So if somebody is presenting during an assembly, you should not be talking. That's rude, and it's quite embarrassing when we have to interrupt the assembly just to hush students. So let's be respectful and not talk while in the middle of an assembly. Now, arrival and dismissal, report directly to your designated area using an inside voice. And when you first get here, if you need to eat breakfast, you do that first before going to the gym or going to class. So breakfast is first. And then wear clothes outlined in the school dress code. Okay, down below that box on the bottom of page 11, we have our school-wide classroom social contract. As we kind of get used to each other, you all will be making social contracts in each class, which is just a way that everybody will be treated, that everybody can agree to. Excuse me. Classroom and BARC consequences. So the first consequence when you break any of the BARC matrix expectations is a warning. And teachers could refer to the social contract or the BARC matrix. Then teachers will ask you these questions, which you need to be reflective of. When you're not doing something right, a teacher could ask you, what are you doing? And answer them. What are you supposed to be doing? Are you doing it? And what are you going to do about it? This is about your responsibility for what you are or are not doing correctly, and the teacher or the adult is just simply trying to get you back on track. The third time could be a call home, a behave out, which could be a bounce to another classroom, and then an office referral. And we don't want it to get to that, folks. So just stay, the reason you're here is to get your education, so let's do things appropriately. If the behavior continues, the teacher should get administration involved, and that's what the office referral is. Parent contact is a must before involving admin. Discipline referrals. Severe discipline situations are written up on a discipline, which is online in Educator's Handbook and dealt with by an administrator. Towards the bottom, discipline is at the discretion of the administrator. Teachers are to keep parent contact logs to help fill out discipline referrals. Violations of the discipline policy, there's two different type of offenses. You have major and minor. So where you see major, those may result in suspension from school for up to 10 days. But we don't want to get there because we're going to listen to what folks are telling us to do and do things correctly. Minor offenses may result in parent conference, student conference, lunch detention, after-school detention, in-school suspension, or OSS. These violations will be handled on a cumulative basis. Aggravating as well as mitigating factors are taken into consideration when assigning discipline on an office referral. So we look at the pros and cons of what's going on for each situation. So not every situation is exactly the same. Looking at athletics, go down to the third line, the first full sentence. It starts, the following sports are available to SMS students. We have football for 7th and 8th grade, volleyball, girls cross country, boys cross country, cheerleading, girls basketball, boys basketball, wrestling, girls soccer, boys soccer, softball, and baseball. Everything except for football is available to 6th through 8th grade. Football is the only thing that is only 7th and 8th grade. Look at the first bullet point. Students must pass all but one course the previous semester. So you have to be passing at least 3 of your core classes, which is science, social studies, English, and math, to be able to play in athletics. A student must be in attendance 85% of the previous semester. And if you look at probation list, underline that. If a student is on the probation list, and we talked about that on Friday, they may not practice or participate in any athletic activities until removed from the probation list. And the probation list talked about your grades mostly. If you are on an athletic team and you get out of school suspension, the first offense, you are removed from the team. We hold athletes to a higher standard because you are a leader in the school. And so if you are doing things that could get you suspended, then that's not a positive leader. And we need you to focus on helping yourself rather than being on the team for that time. Now the next season, so if you get suspended off a team in the fall, you are eligible to try out for a team in the winter. That's not for the whole year, it's just for the rest of that season. In ISS, the first offense, the student cannot practice or play the days in ISS. If the game falls during this time, the student will miss the game. As a note, it is considered a day in ISS if the student is in there for 50% or more of the school day. Also, assignment to ISS can be for 1 or more days per offense. In your second ISS, student cannot practice or play the day in ISS and will also sit out the next game the team plays after competition or completion of the ISS assignment. So you will miss practices and games for your second time in ISS as a student athlete. If the student misses a game while in ISS, you will sit out the next game and the team is scheduled to play. Your third offense of ISS, you are removed from the team. At that point, you've shown that your leadership skills need some fine-tuning and you will be off of our sports team. As a note, any student assigned to 3 or more days of ISS during the season will no longer be eligible to participate during the season. So if you have an offense that gets you 3 days in ISS, you're off the team. Athletic games. Students are encouraged to stay for ball games to support our team. However, students must make prior arrangements to be picked up from games by the end of the game. That 6:45 is not always true. Sometimes it's earlier than that. So just by the end of the game, you need to have somebody here to pick you up. And usually just start calling home about, when there's probably 10 minutes left in whatever game there is. And then there's just some rules, but we don't really have issues at sports games. You guys do a really good job of coming and being a positive support to your teams. All right, cell phone and electronic devices. Wireless communication devices and headphones should be turned off and put away during the school day unless authorized. And I'm not even going to go there because we're not authorizing for phones to be used. You have your MacBook in class. Sometimes you will need earbuds and you can use them for learning purposes, but for music or anything else, videos, YouTube, none of that at school. If music is to be played, it will be played by your teacher through their speakers. There should not be music played through your MacBook at any time. In the bold print, cell phones or other electronic devices will not be used for listening to music. I just said that. This includes in the hallways, cafeteria, gym, or any other area in the school. Again, teachers will play music in classrooms. Photography or videography with any wireless communication electronic device is prohibited. Statesville Middle School is not responsible for any theft, damage, or investigation of lost or stolen phones or non-school issued electronic devices. I will not search for a cell phone. Officer Soto might, but they're supposed to be put away and nobody should know that you have them. So if they're away and where they're supposed to be, locked up in your book bag, there shouldn't be any problems. Go down to where it says guidelines. For all offenses, the student will be given the opportunity to remove the battery. So if you have your cell phone out in class, the teacher will ask for it. You can turn the phone off. A lot of phones don't have batteries these days. It's kind of dated. But you'll be able to turn your phone off and hand it over to the teacher. The first time, usually, they give it back at the end of class. You go on about your day. Put it away, put it out of sight. That way it's not taken anymore. No wireless communication device shall be seen, heard, used, or on during the school day, especially during testing of any kind. In the event that a student violates the rule, the device will be immediately confiscated and discipline administered as deemed appropriately by school administration. All right, so here are the consequences for having out your phone, or even if you have your MacBook out and you're not supposed to, that teachers are allowed to tell you to put that away as well. The first offense is a warning and an opportunity to put the device away. You will have the chance, just put it away. Don't argue, it makes things worse. If an adult asks you to do something, do it without arguing. That'll cut down on a lot of hard feelings. The second offense is the teacher will come get your phone until the end of the class period, and you will get it back on the second offense. However, on the third offense that a teacher takes your cell phone, the office, it will be turned into the office, and you can pick it up from the office after the 3:30 bell. Don't come up to the office asking for your cell phone before 3:30. Teachers, do not send students to the office before 3:30 to get their cell phone. They can come up to the office at 3:30 when the bell rings to get their phone and then head out to the bus or their car. The fourth offense is confiscation, and the office will return to a parent or guardian. Anything after that is going to the parent or guardian. You are not getting the cell phone. It's at that point it's become a problem. The fifth offense will be ISS, and so on and so forth. So students, just leave your phones and your headphones and your earbuds put away. There's no need to check your time, every classroom has a clock. So if you don't know how to tell time with the hands, it's time to start. Cell phones, electronic devices will be logged into the discipline database. So we do keep this in Educator's Handbook so that we're all aware of where you are. So let's make sure that this isn't a problem. Okay, let's finish up with laptop. The Iredell Statesville issued laptops are strictly to be used for educational purposes. Underline, highlight, circle that sentence, please. The ISS issued laptops are strictly to be used for educational purposes. Selfies, homemade videos, Video games, music, movies are not what your laptops are for. They are for anything that your teachers have deemed appropriate for you to use during class. Now, if y'all are making a video on how to solve math problems, that's different, but just a video of you and your friends having a good old time in the latest dance, that's not appropriate. On the second line, the first full sentence, students are not permitted to download movies. We got just a few more minutes. Everybody sit tight. Students are not permitted to download movies, music, pictures, games, or apps, and are not permitted to be on social media sites, such as Facebook, Twitter, y'all know what they are, at any time, period. ISS employees have the right to search a student's school-issued laptop at any time. They are the property. Your laptop that you have access to that you will get today is the property of Iredell Statesville Schools, and if any time we need to search your computer, that's what we will do. Students are responsible for the content found on their laptop. Laptops should not be shared. Passwords should not be shared. If we find something on your computer and you tell me, well, so-and-so did that, that's not okay, because your laptop is your responsibility. Do not share your password to your laptop. Do not share your password to your email. Those are your responsibility to know. Find a place in your agenda book, if you can't remember your passwords, to write them down. A place only you know, so that you can remember your passwords. Don't get your friends to help you if you can't remember. Have your teacher to help you. Those are your responsibility. Okay, quickly. Consequences for violating the policy for laptops. The first is, again, a warning and the opportunity to get back on task. The second is confiscation until the end of the period and parent contact. The third, confiscation until the end of the period, parent contact, and silent lunch. And then the fourth is they take it away, and it's an office referral, and at that point, Mr. Wellman and myself get to decide whether you have the right to have your MacBook or not, okay? So just keep it appropriate, guys. Just stay on task. We really didn't have too many issues with this last year, and I'm so proud that we didn't, and I look forward to continuing that. So there we have consequences for being written up for class sets. So this is when the computer stays in your class and it does not travel with you. The first write-up could be a warning and a period of ISS. The second is a full day of ISS. And the third is ISS, and the student loses laptop privileges according to what the bullets say. Finally, the consequences for being written up when you are taking your laptop from class to class or you take them home. The first one is a warning. The second one becomes ISS and you're a day user for a period of time. The third one is a limited day user, which is when you are only allowed to have it if your teacher needs you to have it. And then the fourth, you lose your privileges for certain amounts of time. So students, just the bottom line is that you stay, Bulldogs are accountable, respectful, and kind. Whether it has to do with your behavior in class, your behavior with your cell phone, your behavior with your MacBook, or how you treat one another. We need to remain accountable, respectful, and kind. Because if it comes down to it and you come across the office, we're going to make you accountable for your behaviors. So let's make sure that we just treat others the way that we want to be treated and be nice to one another. So at this point, we have gone through the student portion of the handbook, and I hope you understand the expectations. If you are not here on Friday, I need you to look through the first part of the handbook and make sure that you look at the dress code to make sure that you are in compliance with the dress code. Bulldogs, I hope you have a wonderful day today. It is an A day, and it is August 12th, 2019. And remember that we are limitless. Have a wonderful day.